tell one short story and then I'm going to introduce Lewd Buddha because she reminded me of it. I was standing in New York City at the Million Marijuana March, the pot parade, the famous New York City pot parade. And it was a pretty big event. It hasn't been quite as big in the last few years. But I was standing there, and it was the year Giuliani took office. And they denied our permit. They made up a fictitious organization called Families for Playgrounds. And they denied our permit, but we showed up anyway, about 5,000 strong. We didn't have a PA, so I was standing literally on a soapbox, and I was giving a speech. And I started noticing as I'm giving my speech that a lot of police are starting to congregate around me. And I've got about 2,000 kids surrounding me, all listening to what I'm saying, and now the crowd's starting to get surrounded by police. So I got off the soapbox and I gave my weed to my buddy, and I said, I'm probably going to get arrested. And then I got back on the soapbox. And then I started talking about how marijuana unites us. And I said, look around you, brothers and sisters. Now, most marijuana rallies Jen was talking about are white, middle-class pot smokers. But the vast majority of people being arrested and sentenced to jail for marijuana are black and Latino. Everybody smokes pot. So there I was in New York City, one of the only rallies in the whole world that is not white middle-class kids. They're a minority. It's mostly black, Latino, and then the whites. And I said, look around you, brothers and sisters. We are here, black, white, yellow, green, united by a five-pointed leaf. And I was under arrest at that moment. As soon as I said that, I was picked up. I refused. I went limp. I was on CBS News, ABC News. My mom got to watch it. She was all freaked out. And then I sued New York City for violating my constitutional right to assembly. And I won. $26,000 from the city of New York. So it's not only the right thing to do to stand up for your rights, it's a whole fucking lot of fun, and sometimes you might even make a little money. So, I think this mic for announcing. Well, thank you guys very much again. My name's Rob Robinson. I'm the director of New York Normal. Jen, my partner who's just up here, she's the associate director. We took over the organization several years ago, and it was in debt and disarray. And we are glad to say that after this event, it's looking like we are going to have a normal chapter in New York with a bank account. With a bank account that is no longer in the negative. And we are going to start doing major fundraising, and our intention is to hire 3 full-time employees that will work on marijuana legalization in New York, so that we can get the freedom that we deserve, the culture that we are. Please remember that we are not counter to the culture. Me and you, we are the American culture. They just like to call us counter. Thanks, everybody. Take care of each other. You guys got another minute, so I'm going to keep rambling. How many people here know what the 13th Amendment is to the United States Constitution? Anybody? No. 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution was the amendment that outlawed slavery. Now, if that amendment was intended to outlaw slavery, I think it would have been written to say the ownership of human beings is now prohibited. Pretty simple, right? That's not what the United States Constitution says. The United States Constitution says slavery is now illegal unless, it's a big word, you've been duly convicted of a crime, giving the United States government the exclusive right to own slaves. We have 2.4 million Americans in jail right now. Over 70% of them are black. They are 13% of our population. I'm ashamed to say things like this. That's why I stand up here and say we got to make the change we all want. Why would things like this happen? 2.4 million Americans in jail. Why would we do this? We're competing in a world economy. We got employees that work for 12 cents an hour in countries countries like China and Guatemala. And now we've got competition. We are starting to put our prison force to work. And I'm also sorry to say that the largest portion of our prison population that's growing is women. They're putting women in jail faster than ever before. My theory is that they need multitaskers. They've got enough laborers. They've got enough strong men. They need women now to do those jobs. Yeah. They are building a constitutionally legal slave force in this country. And I know it sounds crazy and radical. Read the 13th Amendment. It's very clear. They're trying to disarm us. And I'm not a huge gun rights advocate. I do believe in the right to gun ownership, but if they take away our guns, we have no chance to defend our families if they try to come in and take away our freedom. No one is endowed, no one has to enforce an unconstitutional law. And I'd like to salute all the law enforcement officers who refuse to enforce unconstitutional laws, use discretion, and look the other way. There were some police officers here this weekend yesterday because we had a medical emergency. And I'm a friend of a lot of you kids on the lot. I'm a lot person myself. And I heard the rumors. And I immediately wanted to make sure everybody knew that the 2 local law enforcement officers that came here this weekend were fucking cool. When they first walked on the property for a medical emergency, there was a group of kids doing what we all love to do, and the cop went, I went over and told him to put it out for a minute. And he didn't talk to them, didn't bother them, he laughed with me. And then he said, we got a lot more things to worry about than a bunch of people smoking weed. That's what a vast majority of the people think in this country, even the cops. They're not the enemies. We need to change the laws so that they don't have to enforce these fucked up laws. Yeah. We are a country owned by and for the people. Yeah. We have to tell our legislators what we want, or how can we ever expect them to do what we want? If you stand there and say you want legalization, and you fight, and you say you'll fight for it, but you've never asked any of your politicians to actually change the laws, and then you bitch about how they vote, you have no right. Because how could they possibly know what we want if we don't tell them? And I used to be the guy that stood up here and said if voting could change anything, it would be illegal. And I'm here to tell you I was wrong. When local level especially, we need to make the change. One pledge that I'd like to see all us pot smokers take, and it's a pledge that I have taken. I refuse to vote for any politician ever again that wants to put me or you or my friends in jail. And if every pot smoker in America did that, we would be one of the largest voting blocks in the world. Fucking right. And they would have a choice but to listen to us. Outlawing drugs makes them less safe. Most people think this is the way to control them. They've scared us into thinking that prohibition is controlling drugs. Legalization controls drugs. Alcohol was legalized. 18-year-olds can buy it. 17-year-olds can't. Can 17-year-olds buy pot? Yeah. Can they buy heroin? Yeah. Is anyone checking their ID? No. Is there any quality control? No. We want safety. We know we're going to use drugs. We like to change our consciousness. Yeah. Some people like to do it with jogging. Some people like to do it with praying. Yes. Some people like to do it with drugs. Yeah. I kind of like them all.